There are two kinds of people standing in the same checkout line. One leaves with a cart full of things that look successful. The other leaves with almost nothing and quietly keeps more of his future. And here is the strange part. The second man often looks less impressive in the moment, less flashy, less modern, less exciting. Yet 10 years later he is calmer, heavier with options, and far harder to shake. The old families understood this. So did careful merchants. So did widows who survived currency panics and lean winters. Wealth is rarely built by dramatic genius. It is usually protected by disciplined refusal. I have 7 purchases that quietly drain ordinary people, while people who preserve wealth often walk right past them. Some of these will seem obvious, some will sting a little, and one of them, I suspect, visited your house last week. This is not about deprivation. No, let me say that better. It is about learning which expenses behave like servants and which ones behave like thieves in polished shoes. And by the end, you will see the pattern. It is not that prudent people never spend. It is that they refuse to sponsor decay. Number 7 is the large status purchase, especially when bought brand new. A new car is the most familiar example, but the principle is older than the automobile. In every era, there has been an object that announces arrival, then immediately begins to lose value in private. Ordinary people buy it for the feeling, the smell, the shine, the ceremony of being first. They tell themselves they bought reliability, dignity, reward. But much of what they truly bought was the right to absorb the steepest part of depreciation. And depreciation is a silent tax. You do not pay it once, you watch it happen. A brand new vehicle can lose meaningful value the moment it leaves the lot. Then more in the first year. Then more again over the next few years. In many cases, the first owner swallows the ugliest loss, while the second owner gets a still modern machine without paying the vanity premium. Meet Daniel, mid-40s, good salary, careful in public, careless in moments of self-congratulation. He buys the new luxury pickup because he has earned it. 3 years later, the payment is gone from his attention, but not from his life. The asset is worth far less. The insurance was higher. The registration was higher. The repairs arrived right on time. His neighbor, Elias, buys the same class of vehicle, lightly used. 2 or 3 years old, clean record, mechanically sound. Daniel purchased applause. Elias purchased transportation. That is the difference. The wealthy are not impressed by being first owner. They are impressed by avoiding first owner losses. Roman senators understood this instinctively. The crowd paid for spectacle. The old houses paid for durability. Number 6 is the small insurance policy, the extended warranty, the protection plan, the little monthly add-on that pretends to be prudent. Stores adore these products. Of course they do. They are often high margin, low payout, rivers of profit disguised as caution. The psychology is simple. You stand there holding a phone, a blender, a television, a laptop. A clerk asks one small question. Would you like peace of mind for just a little more? And suddenly, saying no feels reckless. But real risk is not every inconvenience. Real risk is ruin. You insure the things that can seriously injure your balance sheet. Health, liability, major property loss, catastrophic events. A cracked toaster, a damaged pair of headphones, a coffee maker that dies early. These are not emergencies. They are annoyances. And annoyances should be paid from a cash buffer, not from a lifetime subscription to fear. Look at the math. Suppose a household says yes to protection plans again and again. A little on the washing machine, a little on the phone, a little on the new chair, a little on shipping protection, a little on travel cancellation for a simple domestic trip. Each charge feels minor. Together, over years, they become a private tax on anxiety. Meet Laura. She is careful, or thinks she is. She buys tiny shields for every object. Her cousin Margaret does something less glamorous. She keeps a dedicated household repair fund. When a small device fails, she pays and moves on. No forms, no arguments, no outsourced panic. Corporations call the first behavior responsible. History calls it tribute. Medieval toll collectors loved small fees as much as modern retailers do. The trick is ancient. Make the charge small enough that resistance feels petty. Number 5 is the trend renovation. This one is subtle because it hides inside the language of upgrading your home. But not every upgrade improves value. Some merely date your house more expensively. People see a room online, perfect lighting, fashionable tile, cabinets in this year's approved shade. Suddenly, the ordinary kitchen becomes emotionally intolerable, and they begin spending for relevance, not function. Here is the problem. Fashion moves faster than construction. By the time the trend renovation is complete, the trend itself has already begun to cool. Meanwhile, the repairs that truly matter are less photogenic. Roof integrity, plumbing, insulation, windows that close properly, electrical systems that do not belong to another century. Structural issues do not perform well on social media, but they do something better. They prevent future damage. In many housing markets, flashy remodels do not fully return their cost at resale. Sometimes a homeowner recovers only part of the spend, perhaps 60%, perhaps 70%. The rest becomes a very expensive season of personal taste. Meet Richard and Helen. They refinance to install a kitchen that resembles a magazine cover, brass accents, custom shelves, statement lighting. Beautiful, yes. Then the market cools. Buyers admire it, then discount it. The taste was theirs. The bill remains theirs too. Across town, another couple spends less. They replace the leaking roof, fix drainage, update an old furnace, improve storage. Nobody gasps on the internet. But the house becomes sturdier, cheaper to maintain, and easier to live in. One family bought theater. The other bought resilience. History favors the second group, always. The houses that survive generations are rarely the ones that chased fashion hardest. Number 4 is brand worship and visible logos. This is one of the oldest middle-class traps ever invented. When people are uncertain of their status, they try to wear a verdict. A shirt with a giant logo does not make the fabric nobler. A belt with a famous buckle does not make the wearer wealthier. It merely broadcasts the desire to be read quickly by strangers. And strangers are terrible custodians of your financial future. Truly, wealthy people often care far less than aspirational people imagine. They may buy quality, yes. They may buy craftsmanship, certainly. But they do not always buy the billboard version of it, because they are not trying to persuade the room. The person trying hardest to look rich is often the person furthest from security. There is an old pattern here. During declining empires, elites become either extremely discreet or absurdly theatrical. The discreet ones preserve themselves. The theatrical ones entertain the collapse. Meet Anthony. He rotates premium labels, limited drops, branded sneakers, prestige sunglasses. Not because each item is useful, but because each item momentarily upgrades his reflection. His closet is full. His margin for error is thin. His Uncle Peter wears plain clothes, good shoes, durable coat, simple watch. No costume of success. Yet Peter owns his time far more completely. That is the real marker. The poor man wants to be recognized. The prudent man wants to be difficult to exploit. One shops for reaction, the other shops for service. And service, unlike vanity, can survive the washing machine. Number 3 is the expensive hobby that quietly becomes a financial obligation. A hobby should restore you. It should not invoice you with the regularity of a second mortgage. There is nothing immoral about beautiful leisure. Let us be fair. Golf, boating, exclusive clubs, high-end gear cultures, specialized collecting. These can be enjoyable. But enjoyable is not the same as harmless. The trap begins when recreation becomes identity. Then identity becomes recurring expense. Membership dues, storage fees, maintenance, travel, equipment upgrades, social pressure. Suddenly, the pastime is no longer a pleasure. It is a machine that must be fed. And because the spending is wrapped in community, people rarely question it honestly. Now consider the long view. Over 20 or 30 years, a very expensive hobby can absorb astonishing sums. Not in one dramatic blow, no, never dramatically. Quietly, faithfully. Like ivy on stone. Meet George, retired, comfortable but not secure. He spends heavily to remain part of a prestige circle. Fees here, trips there, custom gear every season. He says it keeps him young, perhaps, but it also keeps him paying. His sister Anna finds joy elsewhere. Gardening, walking trails, reading, hosting simple dinners, local games with low equipment costs. Her leisure does not demand tribute. It returns peace without draining capital. And if you leave behind less debt, more flexibility, and more inheritance because your hobbies were modest, that is not dullness. That is civilization. The Roman aristocracy had the same weakness: spectacle consumption. Horses, banquets, displays, memberships of their own kind. They confused visible refinement with durable position. It ended the same way it always ends. Expense outran substance. Number 2 is the invisible fee, especially the percentage-based financial middleman who is paid more as your pile grows. This is where respectable language becomes dangerous. A 1% annual fee sounds tiny, harmless, almost ceremonial. People hear 1% and imagine a thin slice. But over long periods, when compounded against compounding itself, that slice can consume a brutal share of the ending total. That is the part many people never see. If your money grows, the fee grows. If your account grows, the fee grows. If time passes, the drag keeps eating. A charge that appears trivial in a single year can, over decades, remove a startling portion of what might have remained yours. In some long-run scenarios, the difference can amount to something like a third of the ending value, sometimes more, sometimes much more. The exact number changes with returns, time, and contributions. The principle does not. Meet Simon. He delegates everything because numbers make him tired. He nods through meetings, signs forms, and feels sophisticated. Each year the fee seems manageable. Over 25 years, the missing capital becomes enormous. His friend Michael does something less glamorous. He learns the cost structure. He asks what every advisor is paid, how, and why. If he seeks help, he prefers clarity. Fixed project fees, hourly planning, transparent billing. He treats fees the way a seasoned merchant treats leaks in a barrel, because that is what they are, leaks. No empire was ruined by one obvious crack alone. Most were weakened by systems of extraction that looked normal because everyone was used to them. A percentage fee can become exactly that, a normalized leak. And now we come to number one. The greatest thief is not the car dealer, not the warranty desk, not the designer showroom, not the logo, not the club, not even the fee. It is the emotional purchase. This is the purchase made on a tired Tuesday, after an argument, after a boring week, after seeing someone else's vacation, after scrolling through polished lives, after telling yourself, I deserve something. Perhaps you do deserve rest. Perhaps you do deserve beauty. Perhaps you do deserve relief. But relief purchased impulsively is often only rented. This is the habit that wrecks budgets from the inside, because it does not present itself as financial behavior. It presents itself as self-care, identity repair, boredom treatment, loneliness medication, or envy management. And that is why it is so dangerous. Markets are not the only place where compounding works. So is habit. A single emotional purchase is usually survivable. A pattern of emotional purchasing becomes biography. Meet Sarah, 38, good income, no major disaster, yet somehow the surplus keeps evaporating. Small luxuries after hard days, fast shipping for mood rescue, decorative upgrades, treat yourself weekends. None of it looks catastrophic. Together, it becomes a river flowing away from her future. Her brother Thomas feels the same emotions. He is not a monk. Let us not romanticize him. But he built one rule between feeling and spending. He waits. This is the tool I want you to steal tonight. Before any non-essential purchase, create a 30-day pause, not for groceries, not for true necessities, for discretionary wants. Write the item down. Write the price in words. Write why you want it. Then leave it alone for 30 days. And ask one question. Will I still be glad I bought this a month from now? Or do I merely want anesthesia tonight? That pause is small, but it breaks the spell. Sometimes you will still buy the thing. Fine. The point is not moral purity. The point is to separate desire from impulse, to make room for judgment, to stop using money as a sedative, because the wealthy people who keep wealth are not emotionally numb. They are emotionally less obedient. They do not cure envy with packages. They do not medicate stress with lifestyle inflation. They do not answer boredom with permanent expenses. They feel the urge and then they let the urge stand trial. That is a very old form of power. So let us gather the lesson. People who preserve wealth into old age are not always more brilliant, not always luckier, not always born into better circumstances. Often, they simply became skilled at not buying the wrong things. They did not volunteer to absorb the sharpest depreciation. They did not ensure every minor inconvenience. They did not remodel for trends while ignoring structure. They did not wear logos for strangers. They did not turn leisure into a lifelong invoice. They did not surrender large portions of capital to fees they barely understood. And above all, they did not let every passing emotion reach their wallet. That is the philosophy. Quiet refusal. Boring on the surface, powerful underneath. It lacks grammar, yes, but working deep into old age because your money was scattered across vanity, friction, and impulse is less glamorous still. History leaves this lesson everywhere, in merchant ledgers, in ruined courts, in inherited homes, in family fortunes that survived not because they chased every pleasure, but because they learned which pleasures sent the bill later. Modern noise is loud. The old wisdom is quieter. Spend on use. Spend on durability. Spend where the cost protects real life. But when a purchase offers image, urgency, emotional relief, or social theater, pause and inspect it like a suspicious coin from a fading empire. It may glitter. It may flatter you. It may even feel earned. And still, it may be a trap. If this list pinched a nerve, good. Honest discomfort is cheaper than lifelong drift. Write in the comments which of these 7 is closest to you. Be truthful. Most people are vulnerable to at least 2. I certainly see several that have tempted me, and if you want more of these quiet autopsies of financial behavior, remain nearby. Modern noise is temporary. Sound judgment endures.